Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a sensory virtual walking tour right through the historic winding streets of an absolute French hidden gem. We're exploring Auray Saint-Goustan, and my goal today is to transport you there using the fascinating details we've gathered from our source material. We're going to unpack the architecture, the deep historical roots, and the totally vibrant culture of this remarkable spot. If you've ever wanted to understand the rich layers of history that can exist in a single European port town, you are absolutely in the right place. Okay, let's kick things off with a very practical yet incredibly evocative piece of advice from our source material that instantly sets the scene. Right away, this quote tells us everything we need to know about the terrain. We aren't talking about perfectly paved modern city blocks here. We're stepping into an environment shaped by centuries, where the very ground beneath your feet demands sturdy footwear and an appreciation for the rustic. It's a literal invitation to slow down, watch your step, and really feel the history of the town through the soles of your shoes. Section 1. Welcome to Saint-Goustan, setting the scene. Imagine yourself standing at the top of the town. To get to the water, you actually have to walk down these incredible ramps. But these aren't just any ramps. They're built directly on top of ancient castle ruins. As you make your descent toward the River Loch, the pathway guides you right down to the port's promenade. It's the perfect starting point for a leisurely stroll. You're flanked by these shady terraces, and as you walk, you're treated to sweeping views down to the quays below. You can almost feel the cool breeze coming off the water as the historic stones guide your path. Now, to reach what is widely considered the most picturesque side of the river, you get to cross a literal piece of living history. A stunning four-arched stone bridge spans the water here, and get this, it dates all the way back to the 13th century. I mean, just think about that for a second. For over 800 years, merchants, sailors, and locals have been walking across these exact same arches. It's not just a river crossing, it's a direct physical link to the Middle Ages that is beautifully preserved today. And here, we finally see the source of that high-heel hazard we talked about earlier. Welcome to Place Saint-Sauveur. The ground here is paved with those notorious round cobbles. Absolutely beautiful to look at, but definitely tough to balance on. But if you can manage to take your eyes off the stones, you'll see you're completely encircled by history. The square is ringed by these opulent, half-timbered and corbelled houses. These are those classic historic facades with exposed wooden framing and upper stories that jut out over the street. It creates an incredibly intimate, almost theatrical setting right in the center of the town. Branching off from the square, the streets get even more dramatic. They're actually so steep they had to be cut into steps just to trace a path through the town. As you climb, you pass row after row of these half-timbered 15th and 16th century dwellings. But the true magic here is the daily transformation. During the daytime, these buildings look quiet, stoic, and dignified. But as the sun goes down, the entire atmosphere shifts. The streets transform into a totally bustling scene, completely alive with vibrant evening café terraces. It's like a dual personality. And that brilliantly illustrates the spatial divide that really defines Auray Saint-Goustan. It's fundamentally a town of two historic quarters. You've got the upper town, centered around the Saint-Gildas church, representing the spiritual and administrative heights. And then you have the lower town, tightly clustered right along the banks of the River Loch, which is all about the water, the port, and the lively promenade. This dual layout is exactly what gives the town its unique, contrasting character. Section 2. A historic trading hub. The power of the port. Tracing the history of the port, we can follow a super clear, lucrative evolution. Back in the Middle Ages, the port basically acted as a toll gate, leveraging its riverside position to collect duties from passing boats. But jumping into the 16th and 17th centuries, the port really hits its stride, transforming into a booming center for commodity trade, specifically wine and grain. And that massive economic power ultimately put it on the map for a truly pivotal moment in American history in 1776. So, just how big was this wine and grain boom? Well, during its peak in the 16th and 17th centuries, Auray Saint-Goustan wasn't just some quaint local dock. It actually became the third most important port in all of Brittany. The sheer volume of wealth, sailors, merchants, and goods flowing across those round cobbles would have been absolutely staggering to see. It was a total economic powerhouse for the region. And that prestige perfectly sets the stage for an incredible historical crossover. The memories of that bustling era still echo through the town, specifically on the granite slabs of the port. because it was right here on these very stones that the American founding father Benjamin Franklin miraculously landed in 1776. He arrived at this French port with one massive mission: to travel onward to meet King Louis XVI and secure crucial French support for the American Revolution. Walking these quays means you are literally walking in the footsteps of a man trying to change the course of global history. Section 3. Pilgrimage and Pop Culture Beyond the Cobbles. Right up in the old town itself, you uncover a fiercely rebellious past. Auray actually served as the stronghold for Georges Cadoudal, the prominent leader of the Breton Chouannerie uprisings in the late 1700s. And the historical atmosphere of this revolutionary stronghold is so well preserved and authentic that the renowned director Philippe de Broca chose the old town as the backdrop to shoot several key scenes for his movie, Chouans. The town didn't just witness history, it's preserved so perfectly that it can literally play itself on the silver screen. Now, just a stone's throw away from all that port action, the atmosphere shifts from revolutionary to deeply spiritual. Here we find Saint Anne d'Auray. This nearby sanctuary city defines itself as a place of profound reverence. In fact, it's officially recognized as the single most important Catholic pilgrimage site in all of Brittany. It adds this fascinating layer of solemnity and spiritual tourism to the region, beautifully balancing the bustling maritime history with quiet, sacred devotion. If you do decide to take a guided tour of this remarkable heritage spot, which, by the way, our source highly recommends, you definitely want to check off this must-see itinerary. The high point of any visit is for sure the towering neo-Gothic basilica. But the experience doesn't stop there. You'll want to take your time wandering through the cloister, pause by the miracle fountain, and visit the memorial. The grounds also feature a monumental statue and the Espace John Paul II. It's a culturally rich site that really rewards you for taking your time. To wrap up this explainer, I've got to mention a super fun detail for anyone traveling with kids. Families visiting the area can swing by the tourist office and grab a game pack called In Search of the Keys of Time. It totally transforms the historical exploration of the town into a fun, interactive quest. We've explored castle ruins, 13th century bridges, and the very stones where revolutions were forged today. So, in a modern world that's constantly racing toward the future, the real question is, what secrets of our past can we unlock by simply slowing down and taking a walk through living history? Keep exploring, and thanks for joining me.